Hey everyone. So, for the classic patch, I've been asking for people to help me with some of the data entry. And you'll see here I've asked for people to help with getting some basic information about qualifying teams as well as finalists um, regarding the following information. So, the team, the name, the birth date, the height, the suggested overall, etc. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide access to this Google Sheet that I made, which does just have those columns in it. This is just a template. I'll try to make one for each of the teams that we're going to need, and then you guys could just fill them in, and we can ensure that nobody's repeating anybody else's work or anything like that. The way that you can find the data, so let's take a look at an example. I'm going to open a new tab. Let's do the 1978 World Cup. World Cup qualification. We'll get rid of detailed reports. So 1978 World Cup qualification, we can just go ahead and click on UEFA for an example. Let's go to Group 1. You'll see that each group in the later years has more detailed reports to them, so go ahead and click on Group 1. And then Portugal is one of the teams that did not qualify. So they're one that'll be harder to get data for, and I don't have data for. So if we go to their first match against Poland, we can hit Show, and there will be this link to a report. So I'm going to open that in a new tab. And here you can see that we get several players' information. You know what, on this, I'm going to add in here one column, and we're going to make this position. And so, since we have that, we can probably just copy and paste this. Let's try that. So let's try pasting. That seemed to work. Okay. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just moving the data around. If you have links like this, but don't have access to all of the other information, or if you're just running out of time to fill in everything else, then at the bare minimum, try to get me a team and a player's last name. If I have nothing else, I can make the rest of it up. If you can't find anything else, I can make the rest of it up. So we'll go ahead and put in Portugal 1978 for all of these. And actually we need to move these two up. So the more detailed information, the better, but if we don't have anything else, we can deal with it. What we can then go do for this source is to click on a detailed record, and we can at least get this guy's birth date. So I'm going to open this in two tabs here. On the left-hand side, I'll have the information source, and on the right is my spreadsheet. And Bento is 6/25/1948. You could do this in whatever format, whatever date format works for you. If you think I'll be confused, you can make a note down at the bottom about what date format you use. But usually we can tell. I mean, there's not a 25th month, so I can deduce what happened. And I'll format those. So we'll go to Korea. I don't have a birth date for Korea, so we'll go on from there. You can leave just that field blank, no big deal. Rui Rodriguez, no birth date. Paredes, no birth date, no big deal. So this is probably all we're going to be able to get from this file. I will just click through here to try to figure this out. You see that a player is a captain. You don't necessarily have to indicate that. You can make another column over here and tell me captain or other role or something like that. So if you see somebody makes a penalty or something like that, you can make columns, and I'll try to take that stuff into account. But if they're just a captain, what would be helpful for the last names here is to just format them so that they don't have all that other extra crap in there. So don't put captain next to the name. Don't put these subtimes next to the names, but instead, just leave it like that and then make a note over here if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine too. When you do the suggested overall, maybe you just give that person a higher rating, because if they're a captain, they're probably a little bit better than most of the other players. Alright, so Machado, Alves, Nene. We do have a birthday for Nene. 11/20/1949. Oliveira. I'm just going to open these last four. Oliveira is 6/8/1958. Fernandez, we don't have. Celso Matos, no. Mario, okay. So, that's all we have for these players. If you really want to go gung-ho, you can go look up these players on Wikipedia and see if you can find, like, their more detailed information. So, Bento, Portugal, goalkeeper. If we look him up on Wikipedia, he does have a page, and we can see there that he's 173 centimeters tall. So it'd be great if you guys want to do that much work and put in that much detail. If you don't have time, it's fine. We will add the detail later. The point is to kind of get started on this kind of stuff. Now, this is obviously just one game, so what I would ask is that we do take the time to go back and get other players from other match reports. So for instance, now we have a new goalkeeper, and I want every roster to have at least 2 goalkeepers, so we should add Santos. He's a goalkeeper. Correa is already in there. Coelho is new, so we'll add Coelho. Mendez. Ty is new. Alves is old. We had him already. Matos, I thought I saw it, Matos. Celso Matos we have, yeah. Chalana. Baptista. Laranjera. And Fernandez we have. And then we would go through and add what detail we have on all of those players. So, Coelho is a defender. Mendez is a defender. Ty is a defender. Chalana is a midfielder. Baptista is a forward. Oliveira, Lorana is a defender. And keep going. We would go back and try to do that so that we have all of the players for up to all of the players that participated in qualifying. And so keep going with those things and try to add all the other detail in if possible. So what I would ask is to try to get us to at least 23 players. If you're not able to do that, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. I can do some of the research on my own. I can add some fake players, that kind of thing, to just make the teams playable. But do try to add as much as possible. That helps us to kind of see an overview of how everything looks. And so this is an example of a data set that I could actually do quite a bit with. It'd be great if I had more data. If I were really doing Portugal, if I really had the time to go through and do all the detail now, I would keep adding the other teams, the other players. I would keep going. It would be really helpful if you give me a suggested overall. So a way to do this is just give captains really high scores, give players that keep playing a lot, give them really high scores, give any players that you recognize, any really famous players, for instance, give them really high overall scores, and then players who don't play as much, give them lower scores. Probably a range of about 15 points is fine for most of these. If your ratings are terrible, don't worry about it, so are mine. We'll fix it later. The point is to get the data first. So that is an example of a classic team template and how to use one of these spreadsheets. What I'm going to do next is actually to take this and to make a new spreadsheet and save it as, I'm going to go ahead and just delete all this data. And what I'll do is try to make each one have a particular name like this. So Portugal 1978. So everybody knows where to go and who to look for. I'm going to delete this data because I did that really quickly, and I think somebody else could take a little more time and do it more accurately. So we'll have one of these, and I'll have links to each one in the actual thread. So I appreciate everyone's help with this, and if you have any questions or are uncertain about anything, just do your best. And if you need to add more players, you can do that. If you're uncertain about something you did in one of the sheets, then just make a note down here at the bottom. I'll figure it out. You know, I just having help with the data entry is bigger than you can imagine. So thank you everyone, and happy data hunting.